How do you find the right sales leader when you know that, especially our listeners who've had to be the 10-armed octopus doing everything, and then it's time to, okay, I need help now. I need to get someone who's specialized in this area. How do you find them?
Great. And Ike, pleasure to meet you too as the first time. Here's my excitement for this topic, because I did it. And currently I work with clients in that same founder-led sales situation. There's this huge blessing that founders have. They don't realize that they're all great as salespeople for their organization, because usually the founders are the one that came up with the solution, the product, and they can sell that. The challenge is as founders have never optimized that process. They can just get on a call and the founder's magic allow them to help close deals or to do partnership. There's a part desperation, part passion that help make that happen, rather than just the fundamentals. But it's hard to parlay that to an individual sales rep. So the first thing that I find, and the reason why I'm bringing this up, because sometimes you find founders who say, I'm going to go find an SDR and I'm going to train them as much as I possibly can. And then that SDR, I'll have them grow into a sales leader within my organization. First off, that can work if the founder does have a systematic way of doing it. The challenge that I find is that they don't have a systematic way of doing it. So you need to get someone that already knows how that system can work and can then plug in and help to develop the salespeople. You can get out of the way and go for those big whales and allow the SDRs to go for that mid-market or tier 2 type of accounts that you may be going for, reaching out to.
Welcome everyone to another fantastic Fearless Founders podcast. We're really excited to have Donald Kelly here, a dear friend of mine and a new friend for Ike. Donald has a remarkable past. And this, I'm going to tell you right now, it's a very short podcast because he's a busy man. He has his own global podcast in which he's had over 6 million downloads. Donald is also a LinkedIn, Salesforce, HubSpot influencer when it comes to anything to do with sales and revenue and getting teams aligned. So really excited. Plus, he's a father of 2. Very happy father of 2 beautiful children. And Donald, we're really happy you're here because we need to jump in, because all of our founders have so many questions about 2 topics in general that we found. Number one, how do you hire the best kind of person to lead their revenue engine, the forefront and the oxygen that the company needs? And then number 2, how do you incent and motivate and keep high performance going when it's a revenue leader, a CRO, a VP of sales and whatever? Those are the 2 topics we're going to go through, but I jumped in a little too fast. Any other comments about your background, Donald?
No, that's you did pretty good. I was going to see if I can get the transcript from this one and use it as my short intro. But we run a sales agency. I started a podcast in 2012 as a software sales rep and fell in love with sharing my wins and things that were not working. And it grew into a sales consultancy and business. And it's been fun since. And I love helping sellers, and I love selling myself.
Fantastic. Yeah. Super. Can you help us, first of all, with that first question? Where do you go? How do you find the right sales leader when you know that, especially our listeners who've had to be the 10-armed octopus doing everything, and then it's time to, okay, I need help now. I need to get someone who's specialized in this area. How do you find them?
Great. And Ike, pleasure to meet you too as the first time. Here's my excitement for this topic, because I did it. And currently I work with clients in that same founder-led sales situation. There's this huge blessing that founders have. They don't realize that they're all great as salespeople for their organization, because usually the founders are the one that came up with the solution, the product, and they can sell that. The challenge is as founders have never optimized that process. They can just get on a call and the founder's magic allow them to help close deals or to do partnership. There's a part desperation, part passion that help make that happen, rather than just the fundamentals. But it's hard to parlay that to an individual sales rep. So the first thing that I find, and the reason why I'm bringing this up, because sometimes you find founders who say, I'm going to go find an SDR and I'm going to train them as much as I possibly can. And then that SDR, I'll have them grow into a sales leader within my organization. First off, that can work if the founder does have a systematic way of doing it. The challenge that I find is that they don't have a systematic way of doing it. So you need to get someone that already knows how that system can work and can then plug in and help to develop the salespeople. You can get out of the way and go for those big whales and allow the SDRs to go for that mid-market or tier 2 type of accounts that you may be going for, reaching out to. The piece that I find with finding that sales leader, the one that works, the challenge is not all sales leaders are created equal. And I've learned this the hard way because I have done it where I've worked with clients that weren't a fit for my agency. And we found that there was difficulty, right, for our sales consultancy. It was, though all things look like there's still fundamental sales across the board, right? But the learning curve is where I find that we have the biggest issue. So when you're looking for a sales leader, you have to, I mean this from the bottom of my heart, it's best to find somebody who is going to be a specialist within your field, in your industry, rather than somebody who is a generalist and has done great in others. So if I did great selling SaaS, it doesn't necessarily mean that I'm going to be great selling service-based, like a service or whatnot. And that's where we find some friction that come in place. Now, how do you go about finding these people? Network is going to be critical with that. I'm honestly a big believer in networking. And then the other part of that too is the reason why I say the networking is because you're going to find people who know some of those already, people who have worked with other great sales leaders that you can get some introductions to or get connected to. That's the first place. So I'll go with other founders that I can leverage in the industry. The second thing that I'm going to do when it comes towards this is then, obviously you can probably poach from other organizations. Look at some of the other companies that are out there within your space. And if there's an opportunity to poach somebody who's been there for several years and they're doing pretty decent, like reach out to them. Hey, open to a conversation, a dialogue. Those are some of the things that I would look at when it comes towards identifying, because if you're trying to get an 18 player, it doesn't make sense to because here's a founder dilemma. Because you have the 8-armed octopus tentacles, you're trying to figure out the one that you can get off the most, which takes up most of your time, which is the sales one. Mind you probably have developers that can do the other side, but you are doing the sales, and that one takes a lot of time. You're managing, you're working, and you figure I can just get this off to someone. But that's the lifeblood of the organization. This is the heart of the organization, the revenue. And if you give this off to the wrong person, you could set the company back months. I'll stop there for a quick sec when it comes towards identifying that right person. And then we can, give me some follow-up questions I can tackle before we go into some more detail therein.
Yeah. So can you, I get the importance of finding somebody from the market
Sure.
you're in. Can you also tie into the stage of the company? Like, do you also match the stage of the company? My mind is racing. Like, if I'm just hiring my first, salespeople, this person is going to create the systems for me, or I just raise some money from investors and I need to hire like 30, or the 18 months. You also don't want somebody that's done this like 20 times and now they're above that, even though they know it. They will hire others to do it for you. How do you balance that, like the matching the stage of the company to the person that actually has done this maybe 1 or 2 times, but not for 30 years ago?
Yeah, great question. Because I think you have to look at passion. That's one of the things you really have to manage. But I would not take somebody who's done, just finish up an enterprise level, help a company go to enterprise level, and now they're going to come back and do a founder led. The only way that I would do that is unless I see this thing as a unicorn, that there's a real opportunity there, because you're going to say, I've been through the battlefield already. So you're probably not going to win that person over to come back to you. You will find the ones that will take this are the ones who they have something to prove and they want to show that. But I would definitely stick to the size, because here's the founder led sales move from a founder-led sales to someone who is like developing the sales team. That's a lot there compared to somebody who has a developed sales team and they're just guiding and trying to leverage a system that's already set up. You need someone that can think and set up system. And here's what I find. I do this on a day-to-day basis, right? But the thing that I did last year when I consult with companies, I can't do that this year. I'm telling you this from the bottom of my heart, truthfulness. Some of the consulting projects that we did, like we do different levels where we go into a company organization, we help set up the processes, set up the tools, and then also we help them. We even done mercenary work where we have outsourced sales SDRs that get their team some appointments. But the thing that we did 2 years ago, in some of it last year, it doesn't work right now. So you can't look at somebody that did this 15, 20 years ago and expect them to do the same thing. It just doesn't work. You have to have a different mindset. In most of those cases, it has to be someone that's just done it recently, that you're going to get if you're going to come into that founder-led sales component. That person can grow with you into the next level for sure. But oftentimes I find that the person who starts off building systems, sometimes it's going to be different than the person that takes you to enterprise level. Making sense there?
Yeah. Ike, right?
Yeah, absolutely. That makes perfect sense.
Just like AI is changing so fast, there's no way that we can have a resume from somebody who did something for IBM.
Yeah. No, you're a dinosaur. At that point, I will take you and put you on my podcast to give me stories from back in the days, but I won't trust you with, the $10 million I just got.
I think what I see also from a lot of founders, they're obviously bullish with their company. That's their DNA. They're supposed to be. But I think they need to understand if the company is going to change and evolve, you're not going to find a sales leader that's going to be with you for the next 10 years. So you just need to look at the phases you have and find the right fit. Right, Donald? Is that 100%. How you should say? Like how much time frame would you put into founder's head? Hey, try to find somebody at your stage for the next. Is it 18 months, 24 months? Like how would you even think about that?
I would say max 3 years.
Okay.
Max 3 years at that point. Everyone, I mean, just looking at, if I can go and show you some of the friends that I have, and here's one of the reasons why this is so important. If they are because by the time the company get to 3 years, it becomes a different beast, right? Yeah. It really is. And and I think people need to understand that it's not that you're being bad or you're not being loyal. Some people can carry you into the next stage. But even on our team, we have some team members that are no longer with us, not because I didn't like them, it's because when we outgrew each other, right? And it just didn't quite make sense for them anymore or make sense for me. And they went on to bigger things. And some people, we outgrew them, so they didn't make sense for them to stay with us. It's just a factor of it. But I also meet with sales leaders, and here's one of the interesting factors that they get. One of my clients right now, I'm coaching him. He just finished up as a VP at an organization. And now he's getting into his next gig. In the interview process, believe it or not, he's had several companies that said they didn't like that he was with one company for so long. It's serious. And most, back in the days, that was like the thing. You're loyal, you have experience, but here's the reason why. They said to him, you're only adapt to one ecosystem, and you did not see multiple ecosystem over the past several years. So they want you to every 3 years or so to look at it. So the industry is moving towards that way. And the simple fact of the matter is that the pace at which we're going, that oftentimes 3 years, you probably have, you can definitely tell by that point if somebody is helping you move the needles or not. But usually they probably get tapped to go somewhere else, or probably you outgrow that person anyways at that point. So that's where I've seen that 3 years. I think the statistics show that it is 18 months on average. But I'm looking at being super, bullish on that. Yeah.
Beautiful response. I
have one more. So,
yes, go.
So I'm always trying to put myself in the founder's shoes and the way they think. Like, hey, I want to go fast. I want to build my team fast. I like all those things. Maybe you can bust the myth for me, or maybe it's a reality. How important is it for somebody that you just hired, like let's say VP of sales? We're moving from founder-led to more systematic approach, like you said. Is it a good idea for this new person to have a network and bring his own team, or is it more important that this person understands this company is different, the industry is different, I need to bring new blood and build the team from scratch? Like, how should a founder gauge that? Is like this guy is going to bring his own team and then they're going to run fast, which I'm sure I would appreciate as a founder, but also like I want somebody to be able to build the teams because it's going to be ever changing all the time. It can't rely on. How should a founder think about that?
That's a great question, Ike. And here's what I would tell you on that part. I have seen it that there's both sides to it, but I'm going to give you my answer, but I'm giving you both sides, the pros and the cons. The one side, this is great that this person comes with their network. They're already established. They know salespeople that they can utilize. It's going to be, the hiring would go faster, and they understand the way that people think and so forth. The other side to that is, I don't know about so the other side to that is that this person, when they do come into the organization, they're bringing their own team, they're bringing their own process and so forth. And the negative that I see with that personally is that when that person leaves, stayed on average 18 months, you just lost 2-3 salespeople who are going to go with them as well. So now it's going to be so expensive to rebuild that stuff there. Now, it's natural that someone is going to come in and they're going to say, hey, I have a great sales rep that I could bring in as well. But I would also say, can we mix the talent pool? And you need to have some other folks in there just because of the simple fact that we're looking at maybe 3 years on a really good run, but then 18 months on average where this person may not be with your organization anymore. And this came from a real life scenario. I have a friend, and same coaching client, his sales leader that he has that was with their organization, he was with them for 3 years. So the stocks didn't invest, but he was with him for 3 years. And then he brought into the organization VPs with him, several VPs, brought in some sales reps. And now when you look at the organization, when the head left, the CRO, all of those people left. And the CEO had to go back and to, do a whole bunch of hiring blitz and to get that set up. And then the idea, the cankering as well, because people it's a relationship. So now that the CRO is gone and his way of doing things, I'm still around with the organization. I don't like this new guy's method. I was so loyal to Dave before, and Dave's method. I'm not open to this idea of doing challenger sale. I'm so, or whatnot. And some of that causes friction where the cause is in there. So what I would like to look at is I want to be as open as possible with the CRO that I'm going to bring in. And I'll let them know, like, listen, I want to build teams members that's going to be here, and I want to help grow some of my SDRs to stick with me and to get them developed into leaders. And I also want to go out and find some other folks as well. But if you do have a couple of people you bring, fantastic. But I want to build a team, and I recognize that's going to take a little bit longer. But I want to build something that's going to help us to be able to last. And I'll pitch the same way to my investors and let them know that yes, we're not going to get to the fast growth that you want to get to in one quarter, or you just look at it like you can prep for this as well. And you could just say, my investors really want us to do bullish, so we're going to really go fast and we're going to try to get as much money in one quarter. Mm-hmm. But I'm just going to tell my recruiter on the side, listen, I need you to start preparing because I'm going to have some casualties very soon. So let's start you looking and helping us find some sales reps on a queue. So when we do have the casualties, we're not there. But the challenge here is a short-sighted thinking I think investors look at, because now you're going to spend so much more time looking and rebuilding the team over and over again. But you do it right. Just get tell them you need an extra 60 days or 30 days so you can really, with the CRO, help to find the really good talent. Use a great recruiting agency to help find some of that. Tap into the networks and to get some more individuals. And you build a team that's uniquely yours, so that if the leader does leave, everything doesn't collapse. Am I making sense there?
Yeah, awesome. Thank you for that. I think I want to tell these first time founders that we're trying to help here is I know things are a rush. You need to get the results immediately, but take a breath and do things balanced way. Like, you need to go fast, I know, but also at the same time think about the future, what's going to happen when things don't work out. Plan.
And the future isn't that far away. Like, the future is like, I'm talking like the end of the year. Like, it could be gone in 12 months. So like, what are we going to do? Go back into the same boat again and do this whole hiring blitz? And I just find that it's a short-sighted thinking. And there's some stuff I'm going to run fast on no matter what. But there's certain things that you just gotta. I love grilling, and when I was out of town this weekend with one of my friends for this conference, and one of my buddies, we went to this soul food restaurant, and they had to cook some chicken. It was really good, and the skin was really crispy and just perfect. And he was like, "Man, how did they do it?" And I said, "Slow." And he's like, "What do you mean?" Because I grill a lot. I said, "They probably did indirect heat." And I taught him the process. I have a Weber. You put the coals on one side, you put the meat on one side, you drop the temperature stays at a good level. But if you just do it right, your food's not going to burn. It's not going to cook in the fast time, but you're going to have some really delicious tender chicken with nice crispy skin. So anyways,
you got me salivating now.
Let's go. When you come here, I'm going to cook for you.
That's great. Fantastic. What I heard from Donald was you combo it. You say, well, I want you as a talent, but I want you to also focus on developing the existing team and you're welcome to augment with those that you're comfortable with, but it's not going to be a wholesale replacement because we can't have that risk, right?
One of the things that you ask in prep before this, Benoit, you probably going to ask this this question, and Mike, you probably get there too, is around you're probably, it's around the, how do you vet if they're really going to be good or not? Like I did the hiring interview and you sound so great. Multiple people in the organization. And then I also want to look at I want to give scenario based. So I take my time. You hire slow, fire fast. That's what I've learned. So I would love to, hire slow, have multiple individuals within my organization that can do some vetting, even some outside people that can do vetting, and then do some scenario based, like give you underneath the hood, show you where we are. Tell me what you would do under this scenario specifically. And I'm not talking some chat GPT 90-day plan. I want to get like, what would you do under this deal? Or even I'll pay him, like even jump on a call with me. I'm doing with one of my deals and look at that. And or any of my, just to see how they would run a motion, you know what I mean? And I'll pay you for your time, but
because, even if you ask for references, they're going to give you the best references, and most references, even if you find a backdoor reference, they will be nice about it because the life is short and you never know what's going to happen. So I think it's a great suggestion for to do some role plays and maybe in real life ones to get
I'm loving the advice, Donald. This is great stuff. Right now, I have lots of tech CEOs that I'm coaching, and this is a consistent issue, keeps rearing its head. How do we qualify and really get to know the right person to hire? We're going to move to stage 2 in a minute, and it's difficult, but you just gave a great idea. Pay them for the time, take them on calls, see how they function in multiple different scenarios, if not real-time mode in fictitious cases. That's a great idea.
Here's the other part too. So you have friends that are in your same, probably same industries or whatnot. What I would do is say, give me here's my scenario. Again, I'm putting down my guard, right? Putting down my shield. I want to show you some of our numbers, and maybe if not on the very first call, but I want to show you some of my numbers. I want to show you some of the deals that we've had, the clients we're going for right now, and then I want you to tell me be honest, what's wrong, what would you do differently, and give me a plan how you would tackle this to get a couple reps. And how, what you would look like. I would then take that, and I would not only just look, because you're going to get super excited to hear this. I'm going to take it and I'll go to my network and I'll say, hey, I'm looking at the CRO. Here's what he says about our industry. Does this line up with execution, this GTM, go-to-market plan? Is this the same thing or similar what you guys do? Or what does this look legitimate to you? And if you're a tech CEO and you're not in the sales side, you may just think, well, I'm just going to expect him to do a bunch of cold calling. He says he's going to use LinkedIn, so it sounds good. But when you really look at it, another sales leader that's been through that, might say, yeah, that won't hold water nowadays. Or yeah, that's something I would do that can help you to be able to, get some better insights as well. Just have other eyeballs on it. So
good. Really good idea. Which leads me to item number 2. Then how do you, once you hire them, get the most performance out of that sales leader? And ultimately, money. I know. It's so show me the money, right? But it's a real practical thing.
Come on, stay with me, Jerry.
We know exactly what movie line he's quoting. So this is great. The younger ones may not even know what you're talking about. Hey, so how do you keep them in a high performance mode? What are the elements?
Yeah, so I find there's 2 elements to it, and this one is kind of like it's difficult, but if you set up your interview to get it, it's going to be helpful. I want people with a passion. Like I find sometimes there are people who just have passion to win, and I love that. So, maybe they're the ones that are doing the 5Ks, or they're still doing, they're doing something that's pushing them outside of work, whether it's a sales rep or an executive. I just like winners and people who have a passion for winning, because that translates. Money is, I think it's Zig who said it. Money is not the most important thing in the world, but it's right up there with oxygen. So we need it, right? So if I'm going to pay him well, And then one of the components with that is the level of the compensation. So your plan in which I want to, you're not going to give them peanuts, right? Especially if they're top talent. Give them what they deserve. And you can see that with the performance, that OTE, like what else can what benchmark or metrics can we hit that's going to be able to help this person to achieve their goals? Because a winner is going to look at a good plan and say, yeah, I'm fine with that. I'll take X per as my base with the idea of my team hitting these benchmarks. You want to ramp properly. You can't expect that in like 30 days. 60 days because your sales reps need to get ramped. But let's say, I like the 120 days. 90 days is a lie because it's really like it's not really 90 days because the first one is just everybody learning and getting caught up. But after that, so it's like a quarter, 4 months really, because 1 month is for prep and learning, and then the 3 months after that. So I always like to look at 120. But if by that 120, I want to see where we are, and that shows me the pattern. If we can really hit numbers, and then you can just accelerate off of that and grow from there realistically. So to go back to this idea, I would give a sales leader an opportunity to make some good money at the base, but make it so they can generate a lot more by hitting targets. And that will give you the idea too of a true winner, because they'll recognize, if I've done this before and I know in my heart of hearts that I understand this industry and I know we can get to that next level, I won't argue with that. I'll say, sure, let's do it. I may even push you and say, all right, give me 50K less if you give me a little bit more percentage when I hit my levels. Because
have you seen that based on the evolution of the business, that the sales leader has more at risk in terms of salary versus commission compensation for the hitting the target, or as it gets more and more sophisticated and bigger systems, they have more base than commission? You see where I'm going with that? More hunter at the start and more farmer at the back as the company evolves. Right.
Yes, and that's true. But again, look at we go back to what we talked about earlier, the lifespan of that individual. They want to make money as fast as possible because of the simple fact that they may not be there after a set time. Shareholders always have their own way of thinking, or investors. So I find that sometimes they don't get to the farmer status because they're the ones that are just the hunter mode. And that's why it goes back to the different types of individual. If my company is established and we have, they're going to eat no matter what off of some of the farming that we've done for the past, 4 years, then that's a different type of CRO that I would have. And that person may not be as a hunter. I think the first CRO after after the founder-led sale, that person has to be a seller. They have to be a dog. Like they have to be someone that is willing to get into the dirt as well. They need to be able to delegate and not take over the sales for their sales team, because you need a sales team to establish and to grow themselves. But they do need to be not afraid to take on some of the enterprise level deals at that point to be able to help. So I would compensate them a little bit more, but also make it very aggressive for their growth. But you're right. If I have a farmer established system and it's a farmer that I'm trying to get into the Oregon, we have farming opportunities and, some growth opportunities through existing customers, then maybe I'll pay them. They're not going to have they can make a lot more or hit targets a lot faster because there's more money to be had from that angle. I'll probably lower the base just a tad bit and then increase that OTE. Those on-target earning and bonuses. For
sales leaders, Donald, have you seen in general that base is generally 70%, 50%? Is it less than 50? I doubt that sales leaders have less than 50 in your model and all the things that you've done. What counsel would you give to our listeners and viewers?
So make sure I understand. You're asking of their
OTE.
Yeah, you can't go less than 50. It's tough to go less than 50 unless their OT is pretty sick. I would say most founder-led companies that I'm looking at, you're seeing CROs that can probably make like maybe in the 400, $500,000. I'm talking about early stage companies, right? So usually at that point, you probably can get by with a little bit under 50% with the upside of the, more they can make. But generally, you're looking around that 50%.
Got it. And then one last metric base. do you see accelerators for exceeding the quota, even for the sales leader?
Heck yeah, you should. But here's the reason why. Because accelerators, I look at accelerators in the sense of like, that's more money that I'm getting. Like I hit my target already. Say we hit our sales goals for the year, and we have some accelerators, and you helped me to get, we were trying to get to 1.5 for this year, and you are able to help me get to 2 million. Like that's gravy. That's more on top. And you did that. You should be rewarded as the leader for that, because the sales rep do get a little bit of accelerators. So yeah, the top should get some money as well. Your CFO may not like that, but that's another story for another day. But I always look at a sale, my cost of generating that lead. If I did this pure marketing, or if I did a partner sale, if it was a partner, I'm probably going to give up 30% anyways. If I did marketing, it's going to cost me probably whatever, maybe 20% of what that deal is to get it from marketing. So am I willing to give that to the sales team? Absolutely at that point, because there's more money that I would never have earned. But you got to reward your salespeople. And here's the other part though, the crazy part. I don't often think it's necessary to money after a certain level, because winners, they know money is good, but after a certain level, it's a little bit more than that. Incentivize them with things that would be great. Like it'd still be less, but it's just really nice. I say, I'm going to send you and your wife to Europe for 2 weeks or whatever. It may be less than what you do in Accelerator, but it's money that a trip that I didn't have to pay for. I'm already getting my stuff. And some people may just appreciate that as well, that you felt to take care of me in that way. So.
You're absolutely right. And related to that whole timing element, I've got to ask this question. Every time I've seen sales leaders and sales teams with a quarterly goal, quota, they always hockey stick each one of those quarters. Yeah, you smile knowing.
Wonder why.
And you do everything you can to incent on the front end, to accelerate early sales, to smooth out the curve, but it doesn't work. Every sales person, talented, they're all talented. They all take that big breath, and it just slumps at the start of the quarter, and then comes the panic midway through the second month of the quarter. Anyway, any advice on how to smooth the hockey stick dilemma?
Yeah, so there's a piece, it's an older book. It's called The 12-Week Year, if you've ever heard of that. Really like the concept in the book, because here's where the philosophy comes from. It's human psychology, though, for the sales rep, is every team in the world, every sales team performs better in Q4, because they take out some of the frills that they don't have enough time. You have 2 months in Q4. I don't care how you spin the needle. Like you have the last 2 weeks of the month of December is gone, just straight. And then you have the week of Thanksgiving and a little bit after that. So you really have like maybe 2.5 months to 2 months that you're doing. So October and November, October, November, and part of December. So, but anyway, sales teams perform well because they become like Mark Watney in The Martian. They take everything out of that darn rocket just so they can be what's going to get me the most essential. And that's how they perform. So I can't do any of these other mess. I don't have these time period. I got to have this. I really have to just focus on the essential. So in Q1, I got 3 more quarters to go, or I got 2, a lot of time in Q1 to hit my numbers. Q2, similar thing, Q3. And then your Q4, they just go gangbusters because they work so hard. I would say I would do a big emphasis on the activities to help us get there. Now, let me clarify this. I know some sales leaders are going to be like, I don't want to panic. I want to be a micromanager. I have this spreadsheet that I use for years. And I started as an individual sales rep, and I use it with all the teams that I work with and also the individuals that I coach, where we help them find their ratios, their individual ratios. But I also have trends that I can see based on past performances. So how many phone calls it takes to get to an appointment, how many appointments before we get to a demo, and so forth. And I can use those metrics to gear. At the beginning of the year, you want to be that general and really push people with their activities, because the right activities, will help to lead to the result. I took that, by the way, and this is where the world of AI comes in. I took that and put it in a software and gave it out to our podcast listeners. It's called prospectpro.io. But prospectpro.io, so individuals can log their daily activity, and it gives them every real time based on your performance. This is how many phone outreach you to have this is how many proposals or how many appointments you need to be able to hit your sales target goal. And the reason why I bring that piece in is if you can focus on that monthly on the activity side, the end results will come. And if you can get that into their habit of the sales rep to do that, to hit their daily or weekly habits, the net result is going to come by the end of the quarter. But what will happen sometimes, you see the sandbagging where if you don't have visuals into that, you'll see towards the end of the quarter, that's when, we have some deals. So we're just going to really push and try to get that. But I'm going to measure you this month on these number of metric performance. I'm going to look at it. If your metric performance is not within a certain standard deviation, I'm going to raise red flag, because that means you may not hit your numbers by the end of the quarter, or it may be signaling to me that there's some sandbagging going on and I want winners.
What do you think, Ike, in a short amount of time?
That was amazing.
He hit all of those. I wrote lots of notes down, Donald. You saw me writing and scratching. Fantastic. Wow. In a short amount of time. Any parting words? We only have you for so long. We appreciate it. Mm-hmm. Donald, any other comments?
The only other piece of comment that I would say is founders, you hire right and take your time with getting the right hire. It can be very costly to get the wrong person on your team. But hire right is the thing that I was saying. Be patient. Think about cooking those chicken thighs. Cook it right. Make sure it is low. Don't turn up the heat too fast and mess it up. That's the only part in the words. And have fun. Like salespeople, when it's all said and done, they're people and they like to be a part of winning teams and like to have fun. And if your organization doesn't have fun, then it's lame. And the final piece, what I've seen, I've worked for organization that had purpose. And when the visionary leader gave me that purpose, man, I was able, second company I worked for out of college, I was willing to go to the depths of hell with the sales leader. I was willing to follow them to any battlefield because the vision was so great, and we could conquer anyone, and it was so great. But when we lost sight of our vision as an organization, then I don't have a reason to be there. Again, money's not the most important thing in the world, but it's right up there with oxygen. If the vision is strong enough, I will stay if the money isn't perfect. But if the vision is not there, you better give me the money so I can see what I can get from this thing.
Thank you.
Thank you. So the name is going to be Chicken Thigh for this episode?
Yeah. Lean and mean and juicy. Lean, mean, and juicy. Donald Kelly, thank you so much. Thanks, are a champ. Ike, we're going to have him back again. Everyone, thanks for being on the show. I hope you learned as much as we did. Until next time, thank you again.